What happens when three doctors walk into a gaming studio? Turns out they own it. And that is the case for Bioware back in 1995, where Ray, Greg, and Augustine, which I use their first names because if I said their last names, I would totally butcher it, in a little place called Canada, started Bioware. Oh, wow. Baldur's Gate came out soon after in 1998, marking their first success with deep D&D narrative. Obviously, it's Baldur's Gate, complex choices, dialogue trees, and a foundation for their company's soul. We're gonna get to that later, because they followed that up with Baldur's Gate 2, Shadows of and it cements their legacy as one of the best developers this side of, what do you call that, in the middle of the equator? Nah, that's in the middle. Anyway, 2003, Star Wars of the Knights of the Old Republic come out. Critically acclaimed for emotional writing, choice-based narrative, and twist endings, which was a great game. I actually watched a lot of people played that back in the day, and defining Star Wars games in the future. A lot of them kind of just try to be this game in some capacity or whatever. And many fans actually still consider this game canon. So yeah, this is a big thing. Now, I would consider that their storyteller era, and then their golden age came about. And this is where some of their most well-known games came out. I mean, not so much Jade Empire in 2005, but it was a great game. But Mass Effect. Yeah, Mass Effect. Yeah, we're talking about those guys, man. Massive storytelling leap, space opera, dialogue wheels, and morality system. And you can kind of see the Baldur's Gate as a stepping stone. Actually, my bad. Star Wars of the Old Republic as a stepping stone for Mass Effect and its original creation. So you can kind of see the seeds in these companies' early beginnings and how they began. It's pretty cool. Dragon Age Origins came after that in 2009, which, kind of built off of the Baldur's Gate beginning. And then Mass Effect 2, which was also a super high success, pinnacle of character writing, squad dynamics, high production value, emotion, still considered the best title by many fans of the series. But by 2011, which I said in one of my earlier videos of this series, the cracks really started to begin, and I was in high school around this time. So this is where a lot of my formative and my bitterness around some of these game companies start to form. A rush dev cycle for Dragon Age 2, only 16 months. That's way too short. That's like a Madden game, dude. Too short. Narrative takes a hit. Obviously, you can't make good spaghetti in two minutes. You can't just put it in the microwave. That is bad spaghetti, bro. Fans criticize tone shift and corridor maps. Come on. Mass Effect 3 comes out, which had incredible build up, and I remember this Angry Joe making a review about this game in particular. Say we each one of the cutscenes were blue. After all of that, the endings we get, after all the choices, we just get different colored endings. And it was the massive backlash behind that leads to a rare rewrite patch where they had to rewrite. This was crazy back then. Like, they didn't do games built like that back then. Y'all probably used to the updates nowadays. And then, yeah, at that point, you're really questioning what are they doing? What are they in it for at that point? The founders retire. I mean, they started the company in 1995. There were already doctors before that. So, I mean, yeah, of course. So that really started putting the nail in the coffin, because once you start losing some of the original elements of how a gaming studio is made, you really start losing what really is the heartbeat of that studio. Some of their great writers like Drew, oh my god, here we go, Karpyshyn leaves the Mass Effect team. And then in 2014, one of my favorite games, even in the midst of this like very tumultuous era, Dragon Age Inquisition comes out, which proves even through controversy, something beautiful can come out of it. So gorgeous, it's massive, but it did have MMO like systems, which we would see later in the series, because it did have a pay to win element in their multiplayer game element of it. And a lot of the DLCs were like small, quick. There was a lot of them. Let's just say there was a lot of small, quick DLCs. So that brings us to 2015, the collapse. And I'm saying Mass Effect Andromeda is the big Dude, what were they thinking? The development was crazy. The studio was split. They changed to the Frostbite engine. Had weak writing. Animations got memed all over the internet, if you remembered. And finally, the studio merges. So, in 2019, between Mass Effect Andromeda, 2019 hits and Anthem comes out. Oh boy. This was BioWare's attempt, which it goes against everything we read up to BioWare up to this point, as a games as a service game. It had a broken story, dev crunch, BioWare magic. Bro, they were all out of magic. There was an expose by one Jason Schreier that exposed chaos, no direction, and dev burnout over at the studio. And I would say after Anthem and Anthem Next being canceled in 2020, that really marks the end of what BioWare as we know it now. We got Mass Effect Legendary Edition drops, which it did get decent praise, but it really hit on the nostalgia factor. Now we get to one of their more critically acclaimed failures, I think, which is Dragon Age Dreadwolf. Now, Dragon Age Dreadwolf is not the game we got. I think we were supposed to get like a kind of a continuation of Sola's story from Inquisition, which, now mind you, by the time they started like really seeing the developmental issues with this game, it was 2022. If you remember, Dragon Age Inquisition came out in 2014. That is an 8-year development window. If a window is too big, I worry. If a window is too small, I worry. It's like that. I need that 3 to 4, maybe 6-year period. Because if it's too long, I think it's issues with it, like with Ubisoft's Skull and Bones, which we'll get to Ubisoft with this. Don't worry about that. And quite frankly, once we started fearing like a lot of the original devs and writers started leaving, we already knew what it was, man. But we had hope. You know, that's all gamers run off of in this common day and age, is hope. And unfortunately, that's what it is. So Dreadwolf becomes Veilguard. It would have a way lighter tone because Dreadwolf was supposed to be like, yo, it's up. It's over for these guys. Hopeful. It turns into this hopeful, a superhero squad fantasy. I'm telling you, longtime fans were confused. It straight up rejected. They rejected the tonal shift, and it confirms that the series is abandoned. Veilguard refers to the 7 party members at classic Bioware squad setup, but fans call them too quirky or Instagram coded. It looks like the biggest backlash we ever seen from a game that was supposed to come out. And we know everyone kind of jumped on the bandwagon of really trashing on the game. So where does that leave us? Well, Veilguard did decent. It looks like BioWare is on its last legs. It looks like no one over there cares enough to fix any of the issues. And it looks like we're heading down the long road of no return. But fortunately, there will be games in the future that will replace BioWare's spot. And something tells me it won't be from Canada or America. Somewhere in Europe somewhere. Maybe in the Czech Republic or something. Bro, I don't know. It just seemed like all of them going over there. All the good gaming studios. How are they making better American games than Americans? Next thing I know, you're going to tell me Rockstar's. Wait a minute. Where is this located? Where is it located? Scotland? You guys from Scotland? Huh. Well, I mean, we'll get back on track one day. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for watching this series, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this one. Peace.